YouTubers! Mike Martin's here with the Mike Martin's channel. Guys, thanks for joining me for another housing video. This is a really good one. And this kind of talks about what we've been following and kind of the underlying problems that's been happening in Canada and why you're poorer than you think. You're actually a lot poorer than you could imagine. When I read this article to you guys from Better Dwelling, let's check it out. Canadian real estate prices grew over 25 times faster than the U.S. prices since 2005. 25 times faster. Our wages didn't go up 25 times the rate. And that's why affordability levels in Canada have been out of reach for so long now. And the average working Canadian, it's working poor now. The middle class, upper middle class now is already out of its own markets. So Canada is like banking on they're going to have to work something out with Hong Kong. So they give visas for people to keep this money flowing into the country. Canada would be in a recession if it wasn't for money laundering. Look that up. I ain't making it up. So there it is right there, guys. So let's take a look at this. And I got a really surprise at the end of the show here for you guys to check out. Canadian real estate prices are growing to comical levels as bad policy stacks up. Again, it has to do a lot with bad policy, lower interest rates. Canadian real estate prices were up over 8%. Again, with this whole, so there it is, Q3 of 2020 increased 2.93% in the midst of a pandemic. U.S. real estate prices were up over 3 points. U.S. real estate also made substantial gains over the past year, but it doesn't look like much compared to Canada. So there it is right there. So Canadian real estate prices have grown 25 times faster than U.S. prices since 2005. The consistent growth without correction over nearly 2 decades has disconnected the two. Canadian real estate prices didn't just see the double the growth over the past year. Since 2005, real estate prices have grown over 25.31 times faster than the United States real estate prices. This is not a normal trend. Again, guys, so people are saying, but Mike, it's just money, capital flows leaving China. We've been following it and connecting the dots on the channel. It's happened to every English-speaking country. And the parts that did go up in the U.S. are more of the kind of the non-conservative, the more liberal side of things, the blue states. So it would be more California, those kind of states that actually welcome money laundering to come into their look at Washington State, Seattle. That was an absolute disaster in the last. Look at Seattle for the last 5 years and see where their housing went. And you'll see in 2016, tail end of 2016 into 2017, Vancouver puts the foreign buyer's tax on, and that a ton of people from Vancouver, Canada, go down to Seattle and rip that market apart. So here it is, and don't forget Toronto. Canadian and U.S. real estate prices, inflation-adjusted index of Canadian U.S. real estate prices. So there it is right there. So wages are going nowhere near, especially in Canada. And you got the same trend happening in Australia, in Australia and in the UK and in New Zealand, where wages basically got away, where the price of housing got away from the locals. And if you can't get first-time home buyers in your market, it won't work. Now, you don't have an economy. If you locals can't buy in their own markets, you don't have an economy. So this is what's happening in Canada. So Canada's been on life support for like 10 years, but they're keeping it going with housing. 80 to 85%, arguably, people say 80, some people say 85% of Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK are basically built off of housing. Real estate is what's pushing these economies, and that's very dangerous. You want production, you want exports, you want to grow a strong GDP on exports, production. But they want to go green. Okay, so Canadian real estate prices historically have moved in line with the U.S. from 2005 to 2020. Real prices in Canada increased 25 times faster than the U.S. prices. Before 2006, though, they largely moved around the same pace. I remember that back then, with exceptions of 1980 and 1990 at the time. These periods were the new paradigms, but subsequently found to just be bubbles. So we know what happened there with the Reagan administration raising interest rates and kind of bringing down the economy back to earth, or the fake economy, trying to bring the fake economy back to earth. The recent home price acceleration is so large, though, many people find it hard to believe a correction is even possible. So there it is there. In the early 1990s, the U.S. attracted young Canadian professionals looking for a better balance. Recently, Canadians, young people have been deurbanizing due to the high real estate prices. If both of those trends occur, will Canadians continue to pay premiums solely due to cheap credit? No, it's not going to work like that. It does not work like that, because you're going to be so over leveraged that your great grandkids are going to have to carry on that debt. It doesn't make it's not feasible. It makes no sense. It's modern day slavery is what it is. So when they lower rates, what they do is they devalue your money, and when they print more money, they devalue your money even further. So if you actually look at what the cost of living is and what you're making, production is up here. You're producing, but what you're making is way down here. You're nowhere near. Like, the only time you could see that correction or that proper before things inverted into what we have now, to modern day slavery, things were okay. I mean, in Canada in 1982, you could be paying 12% on a mortgage and pay our house off in 5 years, packing groceries at a grocery store. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's go. Let's move on here. Let's move on. So, guys, I'm going to stick to my guns here. Housing to double in 2021. American housing to increase 40 to 100% in price. I made that announcement after the American President-Select, not elect, select. So housing to double in 2021. So there it is right there. Now, what do I mean? Middle America. So let's take a look at today. Today is January 21st or 22nd, 2021. North Alabama housing market boom continues. And this is from like 8 hours ago. Pandemic housing market solid for Metro Atlanta. Things are about to get a lot worse in Arizona if we don't fund more affordable housing. So there it is. Locals can't get in. Luxury apartments. This is usually what happens with luxury. Luxury apartment developers makes Arizona debut with $500 million investment to deliver 1,600 units. And a lot of those will just be left empty, owned by foreign investors, because that's what they're getting to do. They need to keep this going. So Amerifornia is going to come. So America by 2027 will be 80% dependent on real estate to float its economy. That's what I see happening by 2027. Just like Canada is right now, and in New Zealand and the UK. So we're connecting the dots. Amerifornia is coming with your new president-elect. And things are going to look good for a little while, because everything's going to kind of look like it's falling into line until you can't pay your rent, or you can't. You have to work 30 years for a down payment on a one-bedroom. So luxury apartments, so there it is right there. Despite pandemic, 2020 was a record year for Austin housing market. That's in Texas. Austin expected to be the nation's hottest housing market, Zillow says. And let's move on here. Florida's housing market sales, median prices, new listings show gains in December. So there it is, in the midst of a pandemic. So now people living in Canada, I'm sorry, a tear-down home, I'm not making this up, a tear-down is like $2 million in Toronto and Vancouver. Oh, but Mike, those are the main cities. Why don't you look at other cities, man? It's like comparing New York to... No. It doesn't work like that. When a tear-down is $2 million and a house built in 1911 with a bit of land or a small backyard and it's $2 million, you got major issues, because those are the starter homes for the average families to get into. And if they have to pay $2 million, it's not going to fly. So let's look at what you could buy in the United States of America for pennies on the dollar. So there it is right there, guys. Look at this. This in Toronto, $7 million. This in Vancouver, $1.7 million. Oh, look at this one. This one here in Burnaby, Canada, $1.4 million. Some of these come with a lot of land too, guys. Oh, look at this one. This one in Niagara Falls, Canada, $490,000. This house right here in Cambridge, Ontario, $830,000. So this is it right here, guys. This is what you get for your money. And this housing will go up. Housing will double in the United States. But look at the bright side. Let's say $250 for this isn't actually too bad. 5 bedrooms, 2 baths, $2,800. It's still within range. Let's say $300 for that. That's still not too bad. So you guys got to look in the States. They got a long time. So for it to reach Canada, Australia levels, and to reach those levels, I think it's going to take until 2027 for America to be like pretty much dependent on real estate. For selling real estate or exporting homes for foreign investors. We'll see what happens with that going forward. I really look forward to seeing how these movements start to take place. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Look forward to reading your comments. Thanks for watching. We'll talk very soon. God bless. We'll see each other soon. I have spoken.